What's going on? It's your boy No Mas. Came across this video that Deshaun, one third of the Get Drag'd podcast, he shared with me. He was telling me what what Wiley and Jim Jackson was, how they was going in on Cap, and I was like, I don't believe that, man, because Whitlock has been mainly the main one that's been consistent in calling out Cap's bullshit, and we've also been calling out Cap's bullshit. Also, it's just that we just didn't have a platform. And it was many others that was also calling out Cap on, calling it just a whole publicity stunt. So it's like, you had people not buying this whole kneeling thing at all, and they was questioning the motives anyway. Because of the timing that he started doing it. One, he got benched, 2 times for one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He was always pouting, again, the dude saw the end of the tunnel. He just saw that reign of him being a top, briefly a top talent in the NFL. You just saw that dissipating because the league's caught up with him, and Jim Harbaugh didn't have any more gimmick plays for him to run for him to succeed, because it was just easy to take away what he likes doing best and just make him become a standstill pocket passer, which was never his strength. He's a one-read guy and then tuck it away and leave. And escape the pocket. So it was always easy. It started to be, it was getting more easy for these defensive coordinators to really stop the 49ers, And they still had a top-notch defense, So, yeah. So it's like when you just put 2 and 2 together, you can see, like, come on, man. Like, But let's get into this vid, because I just loved every single part of this segment right here. This was just out of this world. And yes, Marcellus was not on this side of the fence before, but kudos to him, and kudos to any brother out there that is now coming alive and is just waking up. It's like, yo, we have to stop being led astray to, with gestures, man. Like, let's just be about action, and let's stop leaning and depending on, being dependent on other ethnic groups, to help us with our plight, man. Like, we don't need them. We generate the most money. I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's get into this video right here.
All right, welcome back, Whitlock and Wiley. Jim Jackson's back with us. Time now for Darnell's question of the day. All right, take it away, Darnell.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about Eric Reed, who continued his attack on the NFL this weekend. Check this out.
When is JayZ ever taking a knee to come out and tell us that we're past kneeling? Yes, he's done a lot of great work, a lot of great social justice work, but for you to get paid to go into an NFL press conference to say that we're past kneeling, again, asinine.
So that's asinine. But the fact that you are actually working for these very same owners that you're quote unquote calling out, he's just, Jay is partnering up with the owners and taking a check. Meanwhile, you're playing for the owners and you're taking a check. He's coming at it from a whole nother level, man. A whole different view, a whole different angle. Okay? He can't get fined for doing a gesture. You can. So you should be, you guys, you Cap, this clout chaser Kenny Stills, I should be applauding this man. That should be applauding him. You know why you're not applauding him? because y'all want to run with this until y'all, until the will, like the only way, and I don't even want to give them any ideas, but the only way you can keep this going, because now people are starting to wake up, people of color, now they're just starting to wake up and just starting to, really see this bullshit. You're going to have to speak out. Cap, you can't let Eric Reed speak out for you. You can't let your crazy rant happy girlfriend speak out for you anymore, Nessa. You can't have them speak out for you anymore. You have to come out and speak out, which I highly doubt you will, because the only points that you can make is the points that is just obvious, man. You sit down in front of a conservative dude, like, you're going to get dragged. You're going to get dragged badly. So if Cap does come out and he starts talking, you best to believe that interview is going to be controlled like a motherfucker. You better believe that shit. Those questions will be so easy for him to get out of, man. But that's his best bet right now, because everything is unraveling right now. He still got a big following, but everything is unraveling. But this guy right here, what he just said, hypocrisy at his best, man. Moving on.
Players Coalition 2.0. He got paid to take the bullets that he's taking now, because we're not having it.
Not surprisingly, Kaepernick backed up his protest buddy, tweeted out, quote, "My brothers Eric Reed, Kenny Stills, Albert Wilson continue to fight for the people, even in the face of death threats. They have never moved past the people and continue to put their beliefs into action. Stay strong, brothers." Do you think these guys are making a big mistake going after JayZ?
Huge mistake. Gigantic, enormous mistake.
It's not so much that it's a huge mistake that they're going after JayZ. It's just a huge mistake that they're putting themselves on a pedestal. Like they're the gatekeepers. Like they're the only ones that has a right to talk about, unarmed blacks getting killed, being shot down in the streets. Especially if they don't have the background. Especially if they don't even know the struggle. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's what's hurting them. It's like this. They're trying to put tighten up this control that they had over the minds of minorities for the past 3 years. They're just trying to because they feel it slipping away. What they should have done, and I say it again, whoever is behind the scenes trying to coach up Cap on what to do. Whoever's paying him, they got to see this. They're doing a very, very bad job right now as far as trying to coach up Cap. They should be telling him, they should be having these speeches ready for him. If he don't even want to do an interview, have him go to set him up to where he's the only one talking, and he's giving his thoughts about whatever the case may be. I mean, I want him to speak out. I want him to sit in one of these shows, on one of these shows where there's like a Will Kane or there's like Jason Whitlock, someone who's opposed to him, so he can express his views. And we already know his views, but he can further explain. And what is the end result? Because he has none. They want to keep this going. I don't even think he want to play. And if he truly wants to play, like Johnny Manziel said, you would not care. The price would not matter. Right now, you should just try to prove yourself to see if you're worthy of that $20 million. But he don't want that. But let's let him finish.
They've elected themselves the gatekeepers of what is and isn't black, and they're just not qualified. Boom.
One, JayZ told you what he thinks of Kaepernick truly through his actions. He didn't go to Kaepernick to say, can I? Should I? He just did it. You know why? As he said, we're beyond kneeling. You can keep kneeling. I'm going to take this baton from you as you're kneeling and now translate this into the two things that are most important in this whole conversation, which is the money and the power that can give the resources back to those who are underprivileged, underserved, and voiceless. And I think that's been lost right now because of Kaepernick and the gestures that him and Eric Reed and Nessa are all following. Here's the thing. JayZ is smart. You don't become Marcy Projects to billionaire and not be smart and have your spidey sense and can read this. And JayZ is guilty of giving Kaepernick a pass the same way I was guilty of giving him a pass. I was conflicted. From day one, I was against him kneeling. Because I said, get up and get those resources, because where we're from, your kneeling at kickoff has nothing to do with our situation unless you translate that, materialize it, and monetize it. JayZ waited long enough and finally said, I got to step past this dude to get this right. This is an identity issue. You know what?
If you were against it when you when he first did it, and you know, I gave Whitlock and Will Kane, and I gave someone else their props for being, you know, for digging their, you know, standing firm with it. But if you did and I haven't, you know, taken notice, I apologize for not mentioning you. My fault.
Identity of this movement has been lost. You know why the identity has been lost in this platform of kneeling, and what does it really mean? Because the identity of those who are leading it has always been in question. Let's keep it 1,000 up here, because my past is hot. My past has expired for this. The past has expired. I've been going back and forth with this from day one at ESPN. Let's go. Kaepernick comes from a situation where he's never felt the full weight of these injustices.
Amen.
This is a mixed race guy who was raised by a white family from Wisconsin to Central California. Respect.
Preach.
That does not disqualify you from talking for us. But when you make missteps and miscalculations.
Actually, it does. It does. If you're going to have any type of revolution of any sort, whether it's violent, non-violent, you better make sure that leader is he knows the struggle, man. He's been, not just know it, he's lived through it, and he's seen it on a day-to-day basis, you know. So that, you know, you can't speak for us. So that's not true, Marcellus. Even if you were, quote unquote, non-mixed, and let's say you had you want to speak out on injustices amongst your people, and you, like, this is what I used to call Shannon Sharp out for, and you're married or you're procreating with the same, you know, against the same race that you're pretty much protesting against. It's like it doesn't mix. It's a bad look. It doesn't make sense. How are you gonna call out a certain a demographic and you know, for doing your people wrong, and you're lying in bed with their daughters? It don't make sense. You got to be all the way quiet and all the way to the back. You can't do that. It's just not logical. But I disagree here, Marcellus.
Oh, it comes back into play. And he never spoke on this when Black Lives Matters movement was at its height. Right. Think about it. 2013, 2014, Ferguson, when JayZ is bailing prisoners out and doing protesters out and taking pictures and supporting Trayvon Martin and that family. What was Kaepernick? You know who he was? Taking his shirt off, bruh. I knew Kaepernick back then. He was never talking about this. He meets Nessa 2015, all of a sudden 2016, he gets benched. Flip-flop. Not mad. That still doesn't disqualify.
It does disqualify, bro. And I'm going to tell you again why. And even me, Deshaun was going at it with this. Like, we wasn't really at odds, but we was talking about this when he was, how, I questioned it when, how we saw how, remember he was on a red carpet, I believe, was it the ESPY Awards or the BET Awards, and he had the full the full 3-piece red suit, I believe. Man, he was just feeling himself that night. He was feeling himself that night. So for him to make a complete 180 to this quote unquote Huey Newton type, oh my God, it just didn't make sense. Out of nowhere. It just didn't make sense, man. And I vote, oh man. As soon, I remember, I was on board real briefly because I found out that he had no endorsements or nothing like that. My brother told me everything. He said, "Yeah, man, he's not being backed by no type of no major corporation, no nothing." Because that's how you usually can tell if someone is sacrificing something, if they don't have no major backing. And at the time, Nike wasn't really paying him much. He was just sitting there and on the sidelines, pretty much on the Nike roster. So when I found that out, I was like, oh man, Cap, he's the real deal. Especially when he made that president remark when he said they all the same. He was calling out Hillary Clinton and all of them. He was like, oh, they all the same. I'm not for nobody. So that kind of, he kind of had me then. But as soon as I started to notice and I started, digging, and then I was like, yo, this is just too soon. Especially what happened with, and how he took Alden Smith girl. Remember those reports when they came out in the locker room? I'm like, yeah, that's it's fucked up. That happens all the time, whether it's in baseball, basketball, football. That always happens in the locker room all the time. But you trying to be the face of that franchise and the leader of that team, it's a bad look. So, yeah, that do disqualify him, bro.
Qualify you. But Nessa comes into play now. And we all know Nessa. Respect to her and her ethnicity, but it's not black.
She's a hoe. She gets around, man.
Okay? So now we got two leaders who don't even feel the weight of the consequences. So guess what you are allowed to do right now? Preach. Have convenience. Ain't no cosmetics here, bro. When I'm in Compton, when I'm in South Central and Harlem, that's my childhood to manhood, 0 to 22 years old. Those three places, I know what it feels like. When you're talking to JayZ, who's been through Marcy Projects, Brooklyn, and all his successes, he's seen this. We both said, go Kaepernick, go. And let the cause blindly support the man. But the character is now coming to question. And then now Eric Reed is taking it and giving them cover. Eric Reed is taking Kenny Stills, another guy. Respect, guys. Another mixed race individual who's not felt the full weight of this.
Kenny Stills, man. I think we're going to have to do a segment on him, man. The art of if anybody is being accused of jumping on a bandwagon and trying to capitalize and get clout, it should not be, JayZ should not be called out for this. It should be Kenny Stills. And I want to get into what he did with that owner, because that just didn't make absolutely no sense. That shit was just ridiculous, man. But let's go.
So when you want to take this movement, and I hate to play the race card against my own race. Usually you play the race card against the other races, right? But when I have to see these missteps.
And that's what's holding us back. We got to stop fucking playing the race card with every motherfucking thing. In this society, in this day and age, we don't have these quote unquote physical shackles on us right now. It's so many things we can do to get ahead. So many things. But we gotta stop being this woe is me victim. It's like I don't even want to get into it right now because it's just aggravating, man. I'm at my job and it's like, yo, my old job, not the job I'm currently at now. It's like, you're at the warehouse and, you're working. It's like, oh, man, you're discussing with your coworker, yo, what you trying to do in life. And, what you trying to do after, beyond, outside of, being working and loading trucks, for these companies that don't give two shits about you. Man, I want to do this, but you know how it is. Nah, you tell me. It's like, they don't want to see how they point to their skin. They don't want to see our people up there. What do you mean? What are you talking about? The white man. I'm like, oh man. Like, come on, bro. Like, you can learn the trades, man, and you can get on board and start making 80,000. Like, as soon as you get your certificate, man. Like, come on, enough with this shit, man. Enough. You can get on here, get followers, get followers, get paid through YouTube and create a podcast. Where go to Patreon, bring your followers on there. If you're really good at, putting whatever skill you got and displaying it on YouTube, and then creating your own side podcast or Anchor app or some shit like that, and getting paid off of it, man. You could do something like that. You can do. There's a lot of shit you can do out here. Learning how to invest in stocks and learning about crypto and learning about how to do man, y'all motherfuckers get my drift, man. I'm not even gonna get into it. Let's go. Y'all know what the fuck I mean, man. It's just so much shit you can do to make this bread, man. Real estate. That's what I want to say. Real estate. So much. No excuses.
And these issues all manifest, I get back to the identity of those who are leading it, which has always been in question. And now JayZ has answered that question. Let somebody who really knows what this is about handle this.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard. Everything I believe was just said. Go ahead, Jim.
And listen, from the beginning, I'm going to go to your point. When Colin first did this, first question that popped in my mind was, would he have done this if he was still a Colin Kaepernick that led his team to a Super Bowl? That's the first.
Nope. Absolutely not. Hell no.
Initially for me. But then when he got behind it and did some things in the community, I was all in regards to where he was trying to go with it. I think the mistake that's going on now with Eric Reid and Colin is this. Again, I've done my research, read stuff on JayZ of where he's come from, the mindset behind the man, the mindset behind the music. In his lyrics, you hear certain things, but you don't understand what the breakdown means behind it. Because there's deeper meaning in why he says and does the things that he does. Because he's grown from, again, being a young man who sold drugs, who admittedly understood that. Understood he couldn't get his first record deal, said, you know what, we're going to do this on our own. But we got to do it on the inside. We got to create our own record label in order to compete. So once I get on the inside, I can make systematic changes in order for not only me, but other people that look like me, come from where I come from. Now they can have the opportunity. It's the same thing here. Don't be too quick to jump the gun to discredit what's going on. Now, I get why Eric Reid and Colin could be upset because JayZ refused to perform at the Super Bowl. Okay, he was an advocate, really voicing a lot of opinions to Colin Kaepernick. Then all of a sudden, this deal gets done, and it's like he really don't go into deep detail on what's going to happen. I can see where they feel a little.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, there wasn't no. The NFL did not reach out to JayZ to make this deal at that time. They reached out to JayZ to perform. So the context, it matters here. It's not like, NFL reached out and say, hey, JayZ, do you want to take control over our halftime performances? No, they asked for him to perform at their halftime, at their event. Now he has control. These are two different dynamics here. So that's where, you know, that's a little mix up right there that has to get cleared up.
But
All right.
allow this man who's been successful to get inside and see what changes he can make, not only for the NFL, the Players Coalition, justice reform, which is all tied in to what we're talking about. Allow that process to happen a little bit so you can see exactly what his mindset, or more importantly, sit down and have a conversation with the man and say, okay, here's where we're at.
Now we have hit the sticking
see
point.
what I'm
You know
saying?
why? We can't have a conversation on this. Colin is not versed well enough in this subject. He never...
Thank you. Thank you. He's never been versed. Him and who else? LeBron James. Those dudes, they just say one thing, like the most obvious shit, and it's like these meatheads that be following them. Oh man, yo, they this, they that, they, you know, they're super conscious and shit. I'm like, yo, they're not saying anything special or anything that we don't know. There's nothing that they say that's in, you know, that have any type of depth or meaning. It's like, and you will never see them. You will never see them on a panel as this, or you know, another network that pretty much is on the conservative side. You will never see them on there because they like Marcellus is saying, they don't have the enough understanding to go into what they're saying. They are really just adding more to, they're trying to create a false narrative, and they want to be compared to greats that, you know, that pretty much were the trailblazers as far as, you know, social justice, you know, like a Jim Brown or a Muhammad Ali figure, you know, or they want to be like a Jackie Robinson, you know what I mean? They want that mystique about them, not just the fact that they were a great athlete, you know what I mean? They want that mystique, you know, so, yeah.
lived it, so therefore you have to study it. He's not well informed enough. Where these PhDs who are on ground level say, Colin, we've tried to meet with you. He does his own thing. He goes to the beat of Nessa's drum.
Right.
Respect, brother. But then JayZ is sitting there saying, I want to handle this, man. And stop with this whole divide and conquer. This whole, these two brothers going at it. Y'all some simple-minded fools. Our black experience is not monolithic, brother. So JayZ can do his way, and Colin, you can do it your way. But, brother, we have seen your way.
Exactly, and that's another point that I've been trying to make. As soon as he started taking a knee, I never had a problem at first with him taking a knee. My problem was, where is, like Jay said, we need a solution. I'm working towards a solution. I don't even agree with JayZ's stance and what he's trying to do. I don't even agree with it. Not one bit. I think that's also a waste of what he's trying to do, but I can respect it more. I can respect it more because he's trying to, him and Malcolm Jackson, like they are really trying to find a end result here. Even though JayZ say he want, you know, we can talk about it more. I'm like, yeah, we passed that talking part too, man. But at the end of the day, at least he has, or he's trying to come up with a keyword, capitalize that A and put a quotation marks around that A. He's coming up with a solution. You can say he's capitalizing or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But anybody who's going to take the baton from Cap, anybody, a person of color that would have took the baton from Cap, they would have met this type of backlash. So it didn't matter. Somebody had to do it. You can't stay on phase one forever. That's why Cap should have, whoever was coaching Cap They should have had some type of contingency plan and made Cap at least speak out during those times of when he was, quote unquote, waiting, to quote unquote be hired by the NFL, when we all knew that wasn't happening. Not when it was this fresh. But now that it's dying out, he's going to start phasing out. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who's coaching Cap up and his team. I don't know what his team is doing, but they have to set something up for him to speak publicly, because his following are looking bad out here. They're getting dragged. They are getting dragged. And they're making us, quite frankly, they're making us look bad as a race and whole. Like as a whole race, they're making us look weak, soft, like complaining, like we're whining, like little bitches, man. I felt all that smirks, and when Roger Goodell was laughing, I felt all that, and I felt the shame, and I also wanted to laugh with him, because I'm like, what more do you want? The NFL has given more money than the government has given back for reparations, and the NFL has nothing to do with slavery. What does that tell you? What more do you want? We cried, we bitched, we complained, we wanted all of these guys, these rich white billionaires who don't give a fuck about us, and it's their right. They shouldn't have to give a fuck about us. Okay? It's okay. They still gave us money to help us with different social issues, and we're still complaining. Unbelievable.
And we don't know what your leadership looks like because you're voiceless. You are voiceless in your own message, just like the people who are powerless are voiceless in our society. So now JayZ is saying, I'm going to translate this, since I know what it feels like if this didn't work right for me. So now you look at this entire situation and you have to address the characters of the individuals because of what is happening in front of us. These guys have misled. And I gave him a pass just like you. I knew Colin when he was all the way up. And he wasn't thinking about this. And then when it first happened, I said, oh, my homeboys told me, and people in the organization, he's pouting. You remember day one, he was just sitting there? Mm-hmm. He wasn't kneeling. And then they told him, kneel at least in respect. And he...
That's interesting. Coming from Marcellus, insider, who still has, a lot of connects, That's very interesting, and that's, to me, that's damning if you ask me. If you ask me, like if that had came out, and I believe Marcellus at that time, he was doing the show with Max. Let that had came out, man, from on a show like a First Take or a show like Undisputed. Let those reports that came out, man. And that's crazy. Did not know that people who hit Marcellus and say that he was pouting. That's profound, man.
Did that, and then all of a sudden the boat got in the water, and that's where we've been for 3 years.
I just want to add a couple things. The Players Coalition that Malcolm Jenkins started, they've been accomplishing real things.
Yes.
Real things. They've changed a couple laws in Pennsylvania. They're doing some real things inside of prisons and criminal justice reform. And so this Players Coalition that they're mocking is having real impact. And the NFL has invested nearly $100 million in this, and clearly are about to invest more now that JayZ's gotten involved. These guys have made a mistake. They said they wanted the NFL to get on board. The NFL got on board, and now they're still throwing a tantrum. The NFL then goes out and gets JayZ, a guy that I've criticized him. Jim, me and you have gone back and forth. But when the man's right, he's right. And so...
And back to what I was saying, and he just reiterated, NFL dished out more money than we ever would have, than we, from this government, it's like this government never did shit for us. They just took our patents, took all of our businesses, bombed our businesses. It's just take. That's all they did. And here we are. We have a whole entity, the logo, the NFL, the shield, giving us more money than the government can ever give. And this is the same shield that has over 70%, that accounts for over 70% of quote unquote African Americans. This just goes to show you that the reason why, again, this has never been about you. This has never been about us. Cap did not take a knee for you. He did not take a knee for me. He did not take a knee for us. He took a knee for him. Again, he should be applauding JayZ. He should have been applauding Malcolm Jenkins. They don't want change, man. They don't want change. That's why everybody is so wound up about Trump. Because he's changing shit instead of preaching about it. I'm not saying I agree. I'm not a Trump supporter. But I also don't get riled up when he says anything that y'all say that is quote unquote offensive. I go about my day and I try to figure out how to get the bag. I don't worry about what Trump do. Bitch, I loved Obama. He was talking that change shit, but he ain't changed shit. But if Obama started changing, if he would have started changing shit, y'all wouldn't have liked Obama neither. Y'all would have been calling him a sellout and a coon. Words without actions is almost like it's the same as casting a spell and leaving you just in a daze, in a trance. We've been preaching change since this man stepped into office. Came out of office, the only laws he changed was laws for the LGBT community, man. And let's just keep it 100. He did not do anything for us. But I ain't gonna go get into that. I'm just highlighting. I'm just letting you know change. We don't really want change. Those who are for Cap and Kaepernick and his team and his, they don't want change. They want to keep this shit going. It's a narrative. There's money to be made. They don't want no end result. If they did, they would be applauding Jay for taking the next step.
I have to stand out. I have to now praise JayZ and say, brother, run with this football. If Colin don't want to run with it, you run with it. Hats off to him. Hats off to the NFL.
One more thing. No, I ain't done. And please add my name to this list of sellouts that goes like this. JayZ, Big Boy, Travis Scott, Malcolm Jenkins. Put my name on that list if you want to. Because you know what this is? This cause has turned into a validation and a credit for Colin Kaepernick and Nessa's blackness. And let me tell you, you had your past, and your past has now expired. JayZ, do you, as you always handle it, stay above the fray and just make this about action. Coming up.
That's where we're going to end it right here, man. Again, this was probably the best segment that I've seen on Colin's situation, man. This was the best segment, hands down. And even now, you even getting Shannon. He's even agreeing that, all right, he's got to start talking now. that was his number one fan, man. The one that was really behind him when this whole thing started. He's even calling Kaepernick out. Yo, you have to say something. We gotta let you know. You gotta let us know. You know, what are your plans? Like what? You know, so we can really stand behind you. Because you know, a leader has to be out in the forefront of these. You know, on these type of things. You know, you can't just be sending out cryptic tweets and memes of, you know, posting who you believe is a coon, and just because they don't agree with you, and you know, that shit is gonna get old, man. So, you know, and I honestly think it's, you know, this is gonna be a long shot, but I honestly believe that he's gonna get signed by one of these teams. He's gonna get signed by one of these teams. I just can't put my finger on. I can't just be, you know, I'm not gonna say it definitely is gonna be this particular team, but I believe it's either gonna be the Oakland Raiders. Not Oakland Raiders, the LA. I believe they in LA right now, but the Raiders, or the team that Eric Reed is on, Carolina Panthers. Because if he can still, and maybe Miami, but the Fidel Castro thing, that, like, you know, that was a bad look. But I can see those three teams right now. I can see them bringing him in. I can see that. But again, this was a great segment. Shouts out to Deshaun for sending me this vid. I just had to put my 2 cents in it. Again, like, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff. If you like our content, you know, we have more. You should check us out on the Anchor app on the Get Dragg'd podcast. Yeah, and that'll be all, man. Y'all stay up.